He's watching you. She's watching something different. And she's watching someone else, right? Who was it again? This is 3 insane theories in honkaistarrail. Spoilers, by the way, for up to 1.2. First thing I want to get out of the way is that my recent video, this one, is in a Hoyoverse video competition. There's a viewer voting portion of it that you can help me out in, and you get rewards such as Stellar Jades too. You're allotted 10 votes a day until the 15th. Regardless of if you vote for me, there's a lot of great stuff in the competition, so go check it out anyway. But if you do vote for me, I'll cry happy tears. So buckle in. Let's talk about the most confusing moment in the game's story. No, not that one. Exactly. Anybody else have their minds absolutely ruptured from this scene? Because I know I did. No! To jog your memory, once all of the Eurilo 6 chaos is over and your characters head to bed, this scene plays. One in which Sampo is seen talking to a TV and refers to the people on the other side of it as those in the tavern. He then makes some self-referential comments, and then the scene ends. It's an incredibly out-of-place scene, and I love it. So I went scouring all over YouTube and found this video from the YouTuber Central Finite Curve. In it, they make a great argument as to why Sampo is likely a part of an organization connected to the god of elation called the Mass Fools. They're essentially a group of followers who only seek out fun at the cost of everything else. Go check out their video to hear all about that. This, though, caused me to think more about what we've gotten of the god of elation so far. When we meet them in the simulated universe, they quickly catch on to the fact that, well, they're in a simulation, which, by the way, is the only time one of the simulated universe versions of Neon recognizes this. I definitely don't think that this is a coincidence, and I think it may lead to something down the road. So let's look at Sampo's scene once again. He says goodbye to the people in the tavern that he's speaking to, but then he straight up turns to the camera and thanks the audience. I think one might say that he's still speaking to the tavern here, but this line, it seems definitely like that's not the case. You could also say he's speaking to the Trailblazer, since we've seen the Trailblazer have odd dreams before too, but I don't think that that's it either, given that they don't mention a weird dream to anyone after. Although, that wouldn't be the first time the Trailblazer hasn't mentioned important info to the group. So to put it bluntly, in this case, I think Sampo is actually talking to the player here. To some extent, I think that Sampo has the ability to break the fourth wall. A sort of Deadpool-esque character. This would also explain why Sampo is the Nihility class. It would be because he only really cares about having fun and that he understands the futility of acting within a video game. Now, I don't know if I'd go that far and say that Sampo has that hardcore of abilities that he could just straight up see us. Regardless though, I think Sampo has a lot going on, and I think we'll see him either in the next world or the one after that. Also, in his special animation, am I the only one who thinks he's literally looking at the camera? Okay, I'll stop. Okay, here's another wild theory. What if I was sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends? Did you know Raid has over 700 characters called champions in the game? My favorite are the undead. Look, it's me. But my actual favorite champion would have to be Supreme Gallic. For no reason. These champions can then be customized in countless ways, such as with different artifact combinations or team synergies. So what do you even use these champions in? Well, a super in-depth RPG battle system that includes 12 dungeons to delve into with intense PvE boss fights inside. It also includes my favorite mode, the campaign, which is incredibly extensive and has a ton of lore going on. You can also use your characters in PvP, which includes modes such as Classic, Tag Team, and a newly added Live Arena mode. Or you could just play PvP to show off how much better you are than me. Look, I'm getting there, all right? The game is constantly evolving with regular content updates, adding new champions, modes, and features. So how do you play? Well, you can play on mobile or PC, and the data between them can even be linked. So if you want more leisurely play on the go on your phone. And when you want to rematch me in PvP, play on your desktop. Also, they have this awesome limited series going on as well, called Call of the Arbiter. There's a bunch of brand new content in the game related to to it, including a free legendary champion, the mighty orc warlord Artok. All you have to do to get him is to log into Raid for 7 days between now and July 24th. This orc is amazing for taking on all kinds of content in Raid, so grab him while you can. Don't forget to keep up to date with Raid Call the Arbiter on YouTube, as there's even more awesome stuff coming. With all this exciting stuff and more coming to Raid, if you haven't started playing yet, then what are you waiting for? Use my link in the description or scan my QR code right here to get insane bonuses such as the epic champion Knight Errant and other useful things such as energy refills, skill tomes, and XP boosters. So with over 400 million players in over 190 countries, why not give it a try? Just hit my link in the description and I'll see you on the battlefield. Here's the first scene in the game. Kafka hanging out, playing her air violin, but something I think everyone caught on to at the time were her eyes. They don't really have pupils and they almost look empty. Compare this then to Kafka on the Sanjo, and she suddenly does have pupils. In fact, her eyes are so detailed that they're probably the most intricate eyes in the game. So why is this? Well, I think the first response would be that it was a stylistic choice, that they changed her eyes here to be more emotive for this scene. But I don't personally buy that. This scene is in 1.0, and so is her first appearance. I personally feel like if this were a stylistic change, it would be introduced in later patches rather than in the exact same patch. I mean, look at her eyes. They look so different. There's nothing in the... Wait, what was that? So there's something else going on here. One possibility, and probably the most likely, is that Elio can control people or see through them. That when someone has these eyes, something is going on through Elio's abilities. I mean, this is a guy who can see strands of time, so I don't think it's entirely unlikely that he also can do some sort of mind control or mind melding as well, or at least see through someone else's eyes. Another possibility is that this isn't the Kafka that we see at the beginning of the game. Instead, she time traveled. I mean, obviously this sounds on its face ridiculous, but stay with me for 1 second. In the beginning of the game, she speaks as if she's experienced these events. I mean, obviously the response would be that Elio told her what was going to happen, but I don't think that that's completely the case here, especially with that line about making the right choice. I think that line works really well if it's from Kafka herself, and not because Elio told her to say it, right? It feels like it's coming from her character, not some line that Elio just fed her. And if that's the case, maybe it's because she's experienced what's about to happen and is telling the Trailblazer about it. Now, obviously time travel hasn't been established, but I mean, we have some crazy abilities. I just talked about the fact that someone maybe can break the fourth wall, and a god definitely can. So it's not impossible. It's also like a super sci-fi staple, and if they really wanted to go down that route, I don't think it would feel particularly weird in this game. Regardless, there has to be something going on here. Right? Everybody knows the origins of March 7th. The calendar. Also ice, the type you can't melt. Apparently, she was just floating around in space and hanging out. Now, this theory involves whether or not the cooling of space around her slowed time down and enhance. Yeah. You read that right.
Before all this, I was stuck in a huge block of ice drifting through space. Himeko and Mr. Yang and... who was it again? Anyway, they figured out a way to melt the ice and saved me.
She just forgot there was a third person when she woke up. This is what the actual theory is. There was a secret third person on the Astral Express. Okay, if there's a room full of people, maybe it makes sense that she would forget one or two, but only 3 people being there and she forgets one of them? She says that Himeko, Welt, and someone else was there when she woke up. Now, it can't be Dan Hung because, how would she forget that? Now, why would she forget any of this? Well, we've seen before that people's memories can be tampered with. When that door shows up, the Garden of Recollection makes an appearance. They're the faction following the Aeon fully, and their job is to retain memories in the universe in case of its destruction. Our assistant for the door tells us not to tell the Astral Express crew about her, so I immediately did. She then proceeded to wipe that I ever did that from their memories. I think that this happened to March 7th as well, over who the third person was. But like why? I think the answer to this will be crucial to March as a character in the story of Starrail as a whole. I think it's connected to who she really is. I think an adequate response to this would be, but how could she remember anything about the person if they were truly wiped from her memory? Like, how would she even remember that someone else was there? Well, it might have to do with the ice that she was kept in. The only other figure in the game that looks like ice is the Eon Fully, who just happens to be the leader of the same girl who erased the Express's memories. So either A, March is the Eon Fully, or B, March was created by the Eon, so she can just keep fragments of even erased memories because of her innate powers. I think March being Fully is entirely possible because, I mean, if you think about it from like a gacha marketing perspective, it only makes sense. I think eventually all of the gods will have human counterparts that you can pull for. We now know that multiple characters can have multiple forms in the same game, and I think March having one eventually is an obvious no-brainer. But I actually think it's more likely that she isn't Fully, but she was created by Fully. And the reason I think this is from a character writing perspective. I mean, March is gonna eventually regain her memories, right? No brainer. But if she did and she turned out to be a god, she essentially just becomes a god at that point, right? And I definitely don't think they're gonna do that with a mascot for their own game. She's not gonna become some like brand figure. But if she's created by Fully, then she's still March, just March with these extra memories about her creation. And instead, I think she gets to grapple with those and grow as a character and still get to be her same old goofy self. I also think her gimmick of wanting to take pictures of everything works for being related to Fully as well. Obviously, the reason she takes pictures is because she's afraid of forgetting again. So she keeps pictures of the places she's seen and the friends she's made so that she never forgets them again. But I also think it would be a nice touch if someone who's afraid of forgetting was made by a god who's afraid of the universe forgetting. So I think if and when March learns the truth of her ice and whether she was actually created by a god, I think we'll also learn the truth of this mysterious missing Astral Express crew member, this true Nameless. So what do you think about those theories? Let me know what you think in the comments, and let me know if you have any crazy theories of your own. Maybe I'll talk about them in the future. Also, thank you again, Raid Shadow Legends, for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to check the game out by either using the QR code right here or the link in the description. Regardless, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.